Yeah, baby. Here we go. Another
Hey,
midweek show. How's it going, Eric? It's been a minute, like what, 3 days?
yeah, man,
Good to
it's
see you,
going great.
boss.
Ups and downs yesterday, a little late on this, so I'm just tweeting out that we're live right now on the
Yeah.
show. Um,
Not late at all. If you're Brazilian, you're just there on time. As you
yeah,
know, Brazilians are always fashionably late for things, and that's why we always look good when we get there. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're here live, go ahead and chat away with Eric. He's the chat master, and we'll continue to do that for you. And yes, we do have a show as promised this season. If we have a midweek game and it's a big one, as we had yesterday, we're going to be talking about it the next day. So we do have
yeah.
one, and we'll be here for the next 20, 25 minutes talking about LAFC 2, Toluca 1 at BMO Stadium. A great game. I was not there. I'm sick. I'm over all kinds of medication and a Modelo, of course, to get me going through the show. Eric, I go to you. Before I go to Marc dos Santos's post game interview, I'm going to go to you with the first thoughts on the game and what you thought of LAFC 2 Toluca 1 under the lights at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles.
Really, I mean, I'm as happy as I could be with the result. I think it was very disgraceful officiating at this game, and even more so than most. I mean, this is up there with the Club America red card on Atuesta. The second goal not being allowed is just an absolutely shocking decision. Honestly, it's a goal. It should have been a goal. There's no reason for it to not be a goal. It took them 6 minutes to review it. They had a VAR with a sketchy line on it, and usually when I see VAR, it just shows the image. It doesn't really show graphics overlaid on top of it, and especially ones as badly and crudely done as these. So that it killed a lot of momentum. Otherwise, the game it was a rough first opening 10 minutes or so, and they kind of started to find their footing. Barely hung on for the first half. Lloris went out of his mind. Second half, second
don't
half
don't don't don't.
was yeah.
The second half was a different story. We'll talk about it, but
Different.
hold your horses first. But because before we go into the game, your main concern seems to have been the refereeing. But if you ask Marc dos Santos, of all the people he was upset about yesterday, it was the most with Major League Soccer. So I have a clip here, and by the way, I have your line and your image. So we'll talk about the offside as well, whether it was offside or not, and whether Marky Delgado is a Carson agent trying to mess us up in our run to get a title or not. We'll talk about that as well. But first, I want to play a clip from Marc dos Santos' interview. Shout out to Andy Diosa, which was doing all the dirty work. I don't know who asked this question, but Dos Santos went off on Major
I
League
believe this was
Soccer and its
Andy
calendar.
Diosa asked the question, I believe.
Oh, great. So here we go. This is Mark, essentially laying off everything he thought about in terms of why MLS feels that they're not helping our cause at all in winning a title. Yeah, I don't know. Let's use this one here and go here. See if we can play this guy.
The schedule is a scandal. I don't understand why MLS then who's the guy in the office that says, yeah, this is a good idea to have them play in San Diego. They don't want us in the final. Like, MLS has to help MLS teams. And I see it in South America when Palmeiras, Flamengo arrive quarterfinals, semifinal, they get help. They change a game. They put another in the schedule. PSG, many of their games in France has been moved. We're playing for 10 weeks, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, and sometimes the Saturday at 1 p.m., 3 p.m. Guys, who is the genius in the meeting that says, I have a good idea? I want to meet that guy.
So hopefully the audio was good there. Who is the genius who came up with the schedule? I want to meet that guy. Sorry, Eric. Was the audio okay? Could you hear him?
Yeah. What's up,
Perfect.
Mendo?
Just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. And I think that really, first off, 1 minute of Marc dos Santos. If I put the clip of Steve Cherundolo complaining about MLS, how different they sound when even criticizing a league. But what do you think of his criticisms towards MLS in the fact that they're not making it easy on us to win a title in CONCACAF?
He's 100% right, and I much more agree with the way that he brought this up compared to our last coach. Bringing it up right after a loss in a game where your team came out flat sounds like an excuse. Now, he brought it up after a win. This is because there's no excuses after a win. That's the time to complain about things. But I will say my thought on this, and this is just kind of me in my head. One, this is a World Cup year, so there's a huge block of the season where they can't schedule anything. They did move the New York City FC match earlier this season. They rescheduled that because of CONCACAF to basically, I think, the last Wednesday before the playoffs in November. So I wonder if there's even any makeup dates that are available anymore, and whether everything's just kind of booked up between the available times to play, the international breaks, all of that. Also, Leagues Cup. I think the only way to really accommodate this would be to eliminate a game on the schedule. And then, can they do that? So
I'm not sure. You play in September when there's no more, Leagues Cup, there's no more US Open Cup, there's just nothing. There's really going to be nothing other than MLS games, and then you double up on these teams. I just disagree that, and I agree with him. Yes, MLS has done anything that they could to move schedules around, but yeah, I can see where he's concerned. But again, by the way, the most important thing you said of everything that you said is you only complain when you win. And in fact, if you go back to Toronto's biggest rant, which was in the snow game, right, against RSL, when he got beat up and he felt like, MLS, how could you let me play in the snow? Homie, you cannot complain after you got spanked like that. But you can complain when you won 2-1 against Toluca. Shout out, by the way, to Ivan, which how many posts, Eric, did he have that we could not ever beat Toluca in our minds? And I was like, man, shut the fuck up. Let us play. And then he fucking put the shit up, right? And here we are 2-1. But yeah, let's talk about the win. Let's talk about the fact that we should have won by more, I think. And I saw some comments on that. But what was your overall feel of the series? Did it change? We're going to have a show just talking about this game on Monday. But, how did you see LAFC navigate this first half of the series, given that we were all kind of not so sure about LAFC, given how flat they've been in league play?
Yeah, that's a good point. And with the formation that came out as well, I think a lot of us looked at the formation, and I did call it was the same formation we rolled out against Minnesota. I thought that might be kind of what we might see. We did see Schaffelberg instead of Ordaz, but we kind of saw, I think, for the beginning of the game, the team trying to feel each other out and how they're going to attack this, and just kind of probing Toluca and trying to understand their opponent, almost like a boxing match. When you get in the ring in the first round, you just kind of you test the jab a little bit. You just you find the right reach, you start to size them up a little bit. So I think a lot of that happened. And in this time, Toluca was definitely aggressive. I think it was very frustrating that first 15 minutes we had. I believe the possession numbers were 79-21.
Skewed once again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, just seeing that, and it was kind of I was getting that deja vu of those games against Club Leon where we just come out flat and we look like we didn't show up to play. And that was one of my biggest fears. Right. But
would have been that too. But except for San Luis, right? Except for San Luis in that first half. So talk to me about Lloris and how he, to me, changed the course of the game, especially in that first half of play, by not conceding, you know what I mean, and allowing LAFC to stay level.
Yeah, keeping them in the game. It was unbelievable. The double save, it might have been a triple save that he had. I mean, that's probably going to be
crazy, right?
It's probably going to be the save of the tournament at the end of this. And he kept us in this game. And that's what I really, really love about Hugo. And he's a great captain when he has that armband as well, which came along, which I didn't find a scandal in that. He was a captain before. I know a lot of the Twitterverse was a little okay. But But when Long doesn't have that armband, like it's Hugo, it's only Hugo. He's probably, I think, got to be one of the greatest MLS or LAFC signings of all time. Such an underrated thing when he came here. None of us had any idea. He signed here for $150,000. He hadn't played for 10 months, and he was just like, I want to keep playing some soccer. And
even last year, he told me the same thing. He's like, yeah, no, I feel good. I want to keep playing.
Yeah.
Which is great.
So, I mean, he's working himself up there to a statue. And if we're able to finish the series off and go all the way in this tournament, I mean, Hugo becomes one of the next legends, I think.
Yeah, I really hope something big comes out of this run for him, because he's an example of a guy that he's just there for the love of the game. He's so established, right? So like Hugo Lloris has nothing to prove to anyone, and yet you saw him. He had a chance in the goal that was the equalizer for Toluca, which made everybody like hold their breath. And I thought, oh God, here we are. Toluca 1-1. They're going to hold this tie up, and we're going to go to Mexico with a massive disadvantage, right? Because we're going to basically be super vulnerable. And it was still vulnerable, because they can win 1-0 and it's over. And I still think there's a vulnerability into that 1-0 result. 1-0 is a very common result. So you still have to be aggressive going to Mexico, right? You can't completely sit back. At the same time, if you do, tying the game is not so bad. So I applaud the coaching staff and how they came up and put the team together. Don't overextend yourself, right? And yet San Luis was there to guarantee everything. Now, another guy we talked about on the beginning of the week was Tim Tillman, and how much he was an undersung hero. I didn't even clip him, and I had a great clip of us talking about Timmy Tillman, and he had a massive miss on the first half. But again, it happens.
2 massive misses.
Maybe 2. But he's finding spaces. 2. He's finding spaces where nobody else was. And then, on the third chance, he puts it in. Let's talk about Tim Tillman and how much of once again, we can play the clip from last week, but he's basically the guy that saved us and showed up in Denis Bouanga's absence.
Yeah, 100%. And I would say it myself. It's like, man, those misses. He had that volley miss on the corner that bounced, and he put the volley wide. The other one was the cross that he headed wide on the right post. And but kind of as you were saying, it occurred to me as well that you have to get yourself into the position to get the chance in the first place. And a lot of players, as you say, haven't been able to get themselves in the positions to get the chances. And Timmy is finding those spots. So they're his shots to miss. And luckily, the third one, which I think was probably of all 3, the hardest one, was the one he made. And thankfully he made that.
It was, right? It was a golazo, in my opinion. It was.
Oh, yeah. So that was a great thing to see on that. And great.
And again, the dependency on these 2 unbelievable scorers we have hasn't shown up too much this season. And I think it's important to just let everybody know that we're doing all that without our 2 most prolific scorers not being on it at all times now. But we have to talk about Sonny and the fact that he was once again the garçon, the guy that, basically distributes the ball and makes sure that people are in that position to score. So, I had a tweet where I was said Sonny in the midfield with the 2 guys up front. And I just went by how they list the position of the players on the sheet that we get. So whether they position them on the forward part of the field or not, I don't know. But he's listed as a midfielder. Don't know what that means, right? But what did you think of his positioning and how he influenced the game? Even though, once again, Sonny didn't score, right? But he was basically, two assists in, one maybe not his fault, but he's still the assist guy. But what did you think of Sonny's performance and how much quality he's adding, even though he's not scoring?
Sonny won us this game with Tafari. I mean, this team, imagine us without Bouanga and Son. This team just will struggle. We'd be a middle bottom table team without Son and Bouanga on it. And even with Bouanga out, Son steps up with the boys. And Toluca's a very hard opponent. They've won the Mexican League. They're back-to-back winners at this point right now. They're the strongest team down there, and this is how we're playing them. I think part of it with that game, what really led to Sonny, was both of our goals came on set pieces.
Something I asked for last show. Remember how much it was like, we need set pieces, motherfuckers.
Tillman's first volley miss was on a set piece.
Correct.
So they heavily went into this game as a defensive first and said, we're going to get some set pieces and we're going to capitalize on them. Notice with their three center backs and the long throws from Palencia. We would put all three center backs.
By the way. What a wrinkle we came up with.
All three center backs.
Where did that come up from? That's unbelievable.
Yes. And I think this hasn't been talked about much as far as the tactical game planning for this match. And this is a brilliant move. Who would ever expect that LAFC was going to kind of play a bit of a block and a counterattack, but really focus on capitalizing set pieces with three center backs that are more athletic. So, and every Palencia throw you saw, he would set up a long throw. They would wait for all three to come up, like the convoy moving up.
Shout out to the poker players out there, because sometimes you have to be a poker player, and I think in soccer is the same thing. And I feel like and you and I talked about this in the last show as well, that Marc dos Santos was just not showing his whole hand to us, man. That told his player, hey, we're gonna practice things that I don't want you guys to necessarily feature on these weekend games. We're gonna go 70%. And again, I don't have any insight. I haven't been close to the team, the last weeks, but I think that's very possible, because every time these guys step up for CCL, it's 100%. And we'll talk about now what you really wanted to talk about, which is the fact that we could have gone out of there with a 3-1 win, right? And maybe even more, depending on how that goal opens things up, right?
It was such a momentum killer. It
was a total momentum killer. 6 minutes to reveal the goal, by the way.
And they were on their heels. They were on their heels and under pressure.
That was like a 12-pass sequence, which I have to highlight. I was like, wait, what's going on? We're Barcelona out there pinballing that ball around those guys. But go ahead and finish your thoughts, and then we'll talk about the fact that, again, Marky Delgado may have been a step forward, and it made that goal not count, but a beautiful, beautiful goal. Go ahead.
We're going to get into the details of this, but as I can say right now, that is a fucking fix. 100%, it's a fucking fix. And you look at that. They were under pressure for 5 minutes. Like, they were getting bombed. They allowed 2 goals in 5 minutes. They did this to cool this shit off. They wanted
it was a timeout for sure,
and not let it broke up. Exactly, they gave him a timeout.
But let's talk about the motivation to the referees to do that. These are FIFA referees, not necessarily from Mexico, and they got a bag from someone.
Salvador.
And they want to keep things close. They want to keep things close to move the game back to the little second leg and not make the second leg not exciting. So I can see that. If I'm gonna play devil's, what is it? This is a theory, right? A conspiracy theorist kind of move. I'm going to say that's what's happening. But I honestly feel that look at the picture right now and make your argument that, Marky Delgado, for the line that was drawn by CONCACAF, is not a step forward on that ball. Now, visually, when I look at that picture, I feel like I personally have visually enough evidence to overturn this call. But I think you feel different about that.
Yeah, number one, this whole line looks incredibly Mickey Mouse to me.
They are all Mickey Mouse, 100%.
Number
from a data
two,
standpoint,
Celso,
they are not accurate at all.
How many times
there's a lot of abnormalities with the cameras, especially TV broadcasting cameras.
How many times have we seen VAR? We've seen the referee go and look at the screen. And when I saw this picture and I saw a blue line and an orange line snapped across it, I don't remember seeing that come up on the screen. I thought they just showed the scene. I'm not aware of overlaid graphics like that. I haven't seen it. It could be there. I just don't remember it. So,
those are VAR graphics that were provided by the VAR booth as they were doing this review, and essentially make that determination. And
it's very rare.
It's a geographical representation of a plane, right? Where they're basically saying that the red line represents Marky Delgado's body, and they're saying that he's basically a step forward. Now, why I did not catch this at all is because I felt that he was not a part of the play at this point. because he was late.
Look,
Right?
I agree.
I thought he was not part of the play. So go ahead.
So I will disagree with you on that. It's clear that he affects the goalie's positioning in this play, whether he gets the ball or not. He is right there in front
Because
of
of
him.
the defender as well. Correct.
Yeah,
Because the
yeah.
defender could have cut the ball, reacted differently, reacted to shuffle forward.
Regardless of that, let's also throw out the fact that he was fouled pretty hard when that ball went across. That also should have been, by the rules, called a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just ignore that as well. But look at the player up there. Like, you see the line, but look at the defender behind him. Look at his shoulder. Now you go down the plate. Look at that's his right knee there. That kind of goes behind his back. Is Delgado clearly and obviously
no
behind him?
He's not, and that's where I believe you have a massive argument here, because it's not super clear evidence that he's up. Well, like the blue line against the red line support that. Yeah, but at the same time, like I can scrutinize those lines a lot, and I can put them through a lot of scrutiny to say, hey, the way you measure this is not great. But the problem is, if it took 6 minutes, Eric, it means that they really had to think about this, right? It wasn't a clear decision. And that's also yet another indicator that maybe you should have stuck with the original call.
Exactly. If it takes you 6 minutes, it's not clear and obvious. It's for clear and obvious. And this is not obvious.
So this is why I love. Go ahead.
On the field, it was called onside. However,
it was called onside.
You can't overturn the official.
From the goddamn 1997s. I mean, it looks awful. And then, man, shout out to baseball. A sport that's always been criticized for being hard knocked, and like, we're gonna stick with our old ass rules. You can't flip your bat, you can't do certain things. But guess what? They have an automatic system now that basically say, hey, you're out, or you're a striker, strike, and we're gonna catch everything. This is unacceptable. So I do believe that this argument will no longer be an argument in 3 to 4 years. They're gonna put chips on every ball, and everyone's gonna be under an automated system. That's it, and that's gonna be the end of this argument.
Well, there's also the Canadian Premier League is pioneering the daylight rule, which Arsene Wenger proposes, which means that it's onside as long as there's no gap between the defender and the attacker, even if the attacker is everything but their heel. That's it. But regardless,
by the way, sorry.
At the end of the day, the last thing to all you newer people to CONCACAF. This is what is known as CONCACAF right here. And this is normal in this tournament, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we had a 5-minute segment of how we got for CONCACAF, because it's true. Sometimes it happens. And now the game goes back to Mexico, a very tight game. For those going, all you got to do is go to Mexico City, 3.5 hours. There are flights for $300, and you make your way to Mexico City. And the Mesio Diaz, I believe, is the stadium, will be about an hour away. So not a bad ride if you want to go see and support LAFC. I'm not going to lie. I am considering. I'm not going to say I'm going to go, because it requires some logistics, including children being taken care of. But I would love to see LAFC against Toluca, and I think it's going to be a banger. And if you never watch our show, or if this is your first time watching it, please watch it on Monday, because we should have an amazing show previewing this game for next week. All right, man. We talked about this. We were going to close out with a little bit of San Diego, because it's worth talking about the fact that, and we opened with this too, is talking about the fact that we have a weekend game against a Major League Soccer side. It's a side that's having a lot of problems this season, but it's going to catch LAFC in a very vulnerable time. And we talk about this every single time this happens, but I do believe this is the time to show this league that we don't like this scheduling, and we are only going to bring LAFC 2 players to your stadium this time around. I would 100% do what we always talk about, and 100% sit everybody from the goalkeeper to the forward and the reserves as well, and tell this league, look, we got bigger fish to fry. Fuck you and your 3 points. And by the way, I hope the boys get it, and I hope we have boys get it. So let's go to San Diego. Thoughts about, again, Marc dos Santos' conference yesterday, very upset at MLS and the fact that we have to play San Diego, a team that is not easy to play on the road, before we have to go directly to Mexico.
Yeah, rest all the starters, 100%. Bring the kids, let the kids play. And it is what it is. Like, these 3 points aren't going to kill us. The prize is the CCC. If we, the only goal is to make the playoffs next season, just to see what happens. But winning the Shield, all that, it's irrelevant compared to the CCC. This is the biggest prize in our sport.
It really is, and I really think that this is the time to really put an end to it and say, "Hey, Drew Terry, you're the cap." No, not like that, but like really put all of our Bs and guys that are not going to be contributors during the Mexico game, like Nathan Ordaz. Nathan Ordaz was a non. He had no minutes yesterday, by the way, Eric. Oh man, I feel bad for the dude. I know Jeremy Abobisi came into the game, so all the things we made fun of, like right in terms of who would play and not, we killed someone that said Jacob Schaffelberg would start. Like, no way, there's no way he's gonna start. He did start, played really well, was crazy man all over that field. So I love that start. And then Jerry Abobisi comes into the game. I think they were looking for that 9, right? The presence. But he looks like a big clunky RoboCop in there with his big thing around his neck, man. What's going on with our forward rotation? I felt like Nate the Great could have gotten some minutes over Bobisi there.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, they scored the go-ahead goal, which was
with the Bobisi in there. So who am I to say?
Which was brilliant, by the way. If it's one of those things, and shout out to Sunny Days LAFC Twitter account, had a video from their seat of basically Sonny's kick. And one of the interesting things about that video is, if you look at it, you can see that Son and Tafari see each other, and you can see in the lineup.
You see what I see here, and
you can see that Tafari is not being covered. I think Tillman's in front of him. Tillman's got a defender right on him, and Tafari's behind him, and he kind of sticks his head over and like looks, and you can see Sonny sees him. He's like, bro, there's nobody here. And
it's Sonny, so odd. If here's the goal, right? You always want to have a body between the goal and the guy. And if you look at the tape, it's very clear that Tafari had nobody to his right. He's open. So Sonny sees it and puts the ball just right above it to him. No, it's great.
Sonny delivered it into the perfect little window to put it in. I think with Tafari, Toluca was trying to offside trap him, but I think he just, right before the kick, he got onside. And so, like, I think the reason they weren't looking at him is because their goal was to, like, trap him off sides and make him forced on the recycle,
All right. Yeah, I don't know. All right. So just for shits and giggles, we'll close it out with our starting lineups and scoring predictions for this weekend's game before our weekend preview of the big Toluca matchup in Mexico. But I'll go first since I don't usually do it. So I'm going to go with Thomas Hassel with a mask, or maybe it's Cabral if he's not ready, Cabral Carter. Ryan Hollins had not getting any minutes, and Kenny Nielsen did get the minutes on the weekend. So, crazy how time and life comes at you fast. But I feel like Hollins will get some minutes this weekend. Kenny Nielsen, I expect him to start, as well as Eddie Steady Segura on the middle. And on the left, of course, Smoley will be there. So that's your back four. In the middle, Chonier, maybe. I don't know about that. Maybe Steven Eustachio will start just to get some more minutes under him and see how he goes there. Add some good minutes for us. Jude Terry and the other fella, which I always forget his name, but really good youth guy for us as well. In the front, I would go with Nate the Great. Ordaz didn't get any minutes. Jeremy Abobisi as well. I think he needs as many minutes as he can get. And on the front right, because Davi Martinez wasn't really good and he's so young, I actually would start him as well. So not necessarily an all-rotated lineup. I don't even know who LAFC2 plays up front, but I would give Davi Martinez a chance to play with Nathan Ordaz and, someone in the middle like Jeremy Abobisi, and that would be my lineup. Maybe Tyler Boyd would make this lineup as well since he wasn't utilized. The score, I don't think San Diego is doing really well, so I'm going to go I'm not going to say we're going to win, but I'm going to say we're going to try, and that means 1-1 for us, which was the same thing I predicted in Portland, but Portland's a better team than San Diego this year, so I do believe we're able to do that this time around. All right, Eric, I'll go to you with lineup for San Diego and score, and then we'll get out of here.
All right. Yeah. I think they're going to go with Cabral Carter in the goal. Let's see. I think we'll see Segura because he didn't play. Should see Hollingshead. We should see Raposo on the back line.
Oh, Raposo, good call. That's a
and
good
Kenny
call.
and Kenny Nielsen. And Kenny Nielsen.
Kenny, man.
Then we're gonna see
great player.
I think we'll see a little Eustachio as he kind of warms up.
Okay, but like what about Smoley? Sorry, because now it's 4 defenders.
Oh, yeah,
Raposo,
yeah.
So maybe Smoley plays. Kenny.
He might. Maybe they'll put Smoley up in the midfield, but
as a winger, like the okay.
Yeah,
all right. Go ahead.
Oh, whatever. He'll sub in. Jude Terry in the midfield. I guess we'd have to put Eustachio because he didn't play. And then we'll put Smoliakov in there just because he's got the fresh legs. We're gonna put Tyler Boyd, Nathan Ordaz, and one more. So
who's the young guy that we always talk about? And now I'm just blanking on the dude.
Oh, there's Matt Evans.
Evans. I think Matt Evans needs some minutes to start too. I think Matt Evans gets a start.
I think that's 11. Well. I think that's 11.
Everybody's playing.
I've cleaned out LAFC.
No, I mean, shit. You know, look how deep we are. Even if we try to rest motherfuckers, we still have like half a team that could like start for if they'll start for DC United, they would get more points than them. I guarantee you. This is how freaking deep we are. It's unbelievable how deep we are.
I still think that team's going to lose 2-1, maybe 3-1. So.
2-1, 3-1. Oh god!
I'm going to say it's a 3-1 win. San Diego fans are going to act like they just won the trophy.
They won the cup,
and they're going to be super annoying because
they're starting to become more obnoxious than the LA Galaxy fans. Man, it's unbelievable.
Oh, I mean, well, they're all Padres fans,
All right, man. Gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Midweek Show. We had a good presence from the chat. This is officially the last show for the W Martinez giveaway because our next show we're all going to be in a new month. So I'm closing this out. So last chance if you want this card, and a lot of people are already on. Let's go ahead and put his jersey. I don't like when this happens. Put his jersey number on a comment on YouTube. Make sure you're following us so we can get a hold of you. And then I'm shipping this puppy next week to you. And I'm already ordering our new card. It's probably going to be an Hugo Lloris. I don't know yet. Maybe it's going to be the goal scorer that put us through in the finals of CCL. I like doing those crazy things. Like I bought a Rojas jersey as soon as he scored a home run for the Dodgers in the Game 7 of the World Series. Like I love that kind of shit.
Oh,
like,
dude.
Of the moment.
A Poku goat became a whole thing from the Cruz Azul game, like in 2020.
Yeah, man. So that's gonna be the I would say the question for Monday. You know what I mean? Who's gonna be the difference maker in Mexico for us? And if we are to win this puppy, right? If we are to go into yet another final. By the way, shout out to everybody that didn't like a coach that didn't win the big games, because everything I've seen so far, we're winning all the big games.
Hey.
And don't tell me we haven't. We've won every single big game this season. What's up?
There's one very important thing about this next match against Toluca is that if we win and go through now, we are going to host the final. And that's all there is to it. So this game isn't just to go to the final. This game is for a final in our house.
Oof. Here we go. You just reminded me of something. Never think ahead like that, man. You just jinxed us. Thank you. Thank you for jinxing. I really appreciate it. No, let's take care of San Diego. They're nothing. They're thinking about Chiqui Lozano. Thank God we didn't get that guy. Remember we were actually wanting him and we went with Christian Oliveira. Turned out to be a good decision. JT wins another one. But yeah, let's take care of San Diego. And after that, we're going to take care of these other fools. Toluca. By the way we were playing, like we looked like Barcelona out there. Tafari is like at Militown. Tafari is like Militown. Right now, he's looking like Militown out there. I don't think anybody has a chance. So I hope to see the same LAFC a week from today, and at least hints of it with the youth crushing it at San Diego this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us midweek, and Eric and I will be back next Monday at 5 live as usual. Please subscribe if you can, if you haven't yet, and we'll get out of here now. Bye.